Hi everybody, it's Dana Green again, and I'm just here to talk to you about my recent projects that I'm starting here at Pine Richland. Pine Richland, their art program is really impressive, but what I've been noticing is that the intros aren't very interested because they have to fulfill to graduate a art requirement. So a lot of my kids in my introduction to art class aren't very motivated and interested in art. So one of my really big goals was to try and figure out with this project how I can, incorporate what my teacher wants, which is self-portraits, color theory, and printmaking, but also, figure out a way to get this to really resonate with my students on a more interesting and exciting level. So what I basically decided to do after talking to them and doing some research and trying to understand the environment a little bit better is I decided to do this POPaganda, pop culture, street art inspired self-portraits. So what I am having them do is I had this whole discussion with them about what pop art is, what POPaganda art is, and street art, and we just really, went into an in-depth analysis of what these things are. And I'll share my Prezi with you on the wiki, so you can see the images that we talked about and really understand more where we were coming from. And so basically, after we had this whole discussion, I talked to them about, we saw some iconic images that were really inspired Shepard Fairey, or celebrities that really inspired Andy Warhol, or, street or problems that really inspired Banksy. And I really focused, and also the POPaganda artist, Ron Englishman, and how, visual culture has a huge impact on his work, and he portrays Mickey Mouse in various ways. He is really poking at the obesity in America by creating this obese Ronald McDonald feature. So those are just some of the things that I shared with them, and then I talked to them about how an image that really resonated in my head that I never thought of until I was thinking about this project was this image of Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. And I was talking to them about how she really impacted me when I was little because she had this brown hair and she was so beautiful, and all I wanted to do was be like her. But the more I thought about why I want to choose this image wasn't because really she had such a big impact on me when I was little, although that was part of it, but it was more so because I watched this documentary on how Disney characters and Disney movies have these underlying negative and bad connotations, stereotyping, these kinds of things. And so I watched this movie and I saw them talking about the Aladdin lyrics, and at the beginning of the theme song it says, "I come from a land, a faraway place, where they cut off your ears if they don't like your face. Hey, it's barbaric, but it's home." And I mean, I really suggest YouTubing it because that is just ridiculous that is in the theme song of Aladdin. And, this was my favorite movie, and so I just really was thinking about how this had an impact, why this is impacting me again today. And so what I asked them to do was to bring in these iconic images. And what happened was not what I thought was going to happen. They didn't bring in images that were iconic. So, things you see in the media, things that are in television shows, all of these things weren't being shown. So I had them go back, and we had to take a step back today and talk about, all right, now what really is iconic? What does that mean? Why are some of your images not iconic? And I just wanted to create this sense of community with them also. So we shared this little environment, and I took them out in the hallway away from our class and had them all sit down together, and it was just like really nice, and I felt more comfortable than I've ever felt talking to them and teaching with them, because we were all able just to relax and sit down and have a normal conversation. It wasn't like I was lecturing at them or, whatnot. This really worked out really well, better than I could have imagined. And I really think I want to set up that, ability to start talking about things more in depth, because that's what art is all about. So, moving past that, the rest of the project is going to be, they're going to complete a linoleum block from their image, and they're going to, carve out with their carving tools all of the white areas, and the black areas are what's going to print onto their self-portrait papers. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to make this with their iconic images. Then they're going to be able to learn about color theory by mixing colors with the ink and creating this stamp and stamping down onto the portrait, onto the paper. So then they're going to do all of that with their images and thinking about, what colors do I want to think about? What colors am I, partial to? Why am I choosing this color? Get more in depth than just a simple, color mixing idea. Then the plan is to move it back to that street artist kind of feel by having them do a stencil, and they've done stencils with Jeff Repko, who had them do a project where they had to cut out images, vinyl. So I'm going to have them create a self-portrait, and they're going to take a picture of themselves, and I'm going to talk about all the different proportions and how when your face is tilted, what is the way how you need to draw it, and just go into details about that. So I'm touching on this, major drawing project. So this is another part of it. So they're going to learn about how to create a self-portrait properly with the proportions, using all of these techniques. And I want them to take a picture of themselves, but take a picture of themselves really thinking, or, doing something that's going to relate back to the image that they selected. So here, I chose myself just pondering and daydreaming about, Jasmine when I was little and why I chose her. So it's kind of the direction I went with mine. And they'll have other options. But then after they draw their self-portrait, they're going to have to use X-Acto knives to cut out the face. And they will have to talk about positive and negative space and what areas they want to be black on their paper, and talk about, all of these things and how to cut specific details the way you want them to be cut. So then once they've done this, they actually get to do a spray painting part. So this is my final piece here, and you can see that all of my Jasmine images are in the background, and then my face overlaps on top of them. And I've created this haze to kind of, express how I'm thinking. And, one of the things I'm going to do as far as with the assessment is I want to have them assess my work, and I'm going to do another one that's even better because this was my first shot at printmaking. And I'm going to have them talk about what things are working, what aren't working here, what can I do better, how could I do this better, so that way we can help each other understand before, our final things are due, and before we start to put the ink on our linoleum blocks. So I think that that's just something I really wanted to share with you all, because it's a great way to incorporate, contemporary artists into your classroom to really inspire your students who maybe aren't very interested in art and get them revamped about it. And to also, not only do that, but you're learning about these key drawing techniques, you're learning about printmaking techniques, they're learning about color theory here, so many things. So I just wanted to share this with you, and I'll attach the PowerPoint that I did with them on all of the contemporary artists, as well as the worksheet I gave them to help me assess them on their learning. So I hope you have a good night, and I hope you learned a little bit today.